listen at the George Macauley podcast. Another episode where they bring to you. The reason we make her they do this podcast now for help for educate we Sierra Leone people them about we situation in our country and how we go able try for solve them by ourselves. So today I dey bring Mr. Patrick Sandy from the anti-corruption for help we for understand what they do. We go like for know the mandate of anti-corruption, so the reason why they set anti-corruption.
Okay, the mandate of the Anti-Corruption Commission it derived from the Anti-Corruption Act of 2008 as amended in 2019, Section 7, where they talk for say the Commission will take every steps necessary or prevent, suppress, and eradicate corruption and corrupt practices. That's on one hand.
Okay.
Then also, the Commission get mandate for examining practices and procedures or processes of ministries, departments, and agencies with a view for identifying opportunities of corruption and then profile recommendations so that those loopholes or opportunities or leakages will exist will be eliminated. And then also the Commission get mandate for investigate instances of alleged or suspected corruption cases or practices we will come to its attention by various means. And then also we they prosecute all corruption matters, and then also we receive and examine asset declaration forms. So these are the key mandates of the ACC.
Right.
And in trying to achieve those mandates, now you see, say the Commission, they into different operational departments. Like for also the mandate I forgot for also mention the mandate for educate the public or the masses on the dangers of corruption, and then also the benefits of a corrupt-free society, and then foster and enlist public support in the fight to eliminate the pandemic or the scourge.
Okay.
So, in that regard, the Commission now get different departments where they work with respect to the different mandates.
Right.
For educate the public, that is what I do, my department do. We educate, we enlighten, we conduct surveys, researches, know the causes of corruption, do perception surveys, etc., to make a determination as to what the problem of corruption is in society. So we educate the public based on that, on the dangers of corruption. And then we also solicit their support. And in soliciting their support, we forge partnerships with groups. Then we have the prevention department, the crime prevention department, which they do the examination of processes and procedures in MDAs, and then the profile recommendations, and sometimes even develop what we call best practice guide. For instance, on the use of government or public property, get best practice guide. For instance, we talk about now the COVID-19, working with the different institutions or structures, NACOVAX and DICOVAX, with the task force where they will work with those institutions to see that they are observing best practice. So we always develop what we call best practice guide for the utilization or management of public or donor funds in regard to COVID-19 response. So also we get the investigations department where they do with investigating allegations of corruption, and they also the intelligence. We're part of the investigations department. We always conduct overt or covert exercises with a view of bringing information to add up to whatever investigations that is being done. And within that, we also have the Scorpion Squad embedded in the investigations intelligence department that will normally do what we call sting operations based on the information we get on certain corrupt practices happening in different locations in Sierra Leone institutions. And in regard the asset declarations, you will be well aware that we have done the amendment, and so that amendment has kind of brought in a lot of sanity in the asset declaration regime. So we have the asset declaration unit that handles the aspect of asset declaration, receive, examine, or processes asset declaration forms of public officials who are to declare. So in essence, that's the broad mandate, and this is how all of these fit in. And you have the prosecution department now, which at least prosecutes cases that we charge for. So basically, that is the mandate of the ECC. You know, the issue of trust is quite a tall order, but a tall order in the sense, considering the society or the country we find ourselves, where we all don't know, say, don't polarize actually along political lines and a lot of other things. However, the Anti-Corruption Commission done the work assiduously for gaining the trust and confidence of the people of Sierra Leone, because that is the basis on which we will succeed. And I say so because you rely on the people for giving information, and information will pertaining to corruption incidents with at least to come to the attention or themselves the experience. So trust and confidence is very, very key, and we are minded about it. So what do we do? What do we do as an institution? Now, first, for do a lot of sensitization and try for getting confidence, and also for provide feedback to the public on the cases where we investigate or cases where they report to me. Because waiting essentially they happen at that we receive reports from members of the public, and those reports we receive, not to all will really fall within the mandate for deal with. In the areas, for instance, for investigate or even for let we go advise a systems exercise to be done on the MDA, because the report not actually contain elements of corruption that can be prosecuted, but rather we go advise the institutions for take administrative actions. So not all of those really go, like as I say, initially go fall within with mandate as like in this case. So some we can send outside of the agency, for instance, to NACIT, to Ministry of Labor, to the judiciary, to insurance companies. So with that, we also can follow up, because why people make these reports to the ACC, as they say, now with a view of a level of confidence and trust they have in it. So in order for you not to erode that, you not go just turn them back here and say, no, this report not to we can go there. So rather it is ACC that will refer those cases to those institutions and follow through on them. So now in a bid for let the public still hold the ACC to high esteem or continue to get the trust and confidence. So if even they go there, the next thing they will tell the other person is, I go ACC, the case then say not to them, they deal with them, but then send I and they don't go, they don't get solved. And what we do is to follow through on that. So that's also one way. And we make sure that whatever the outcome of matters we investigate, we come public to tell them as to why, for instance, we did not charge to court, or why, for instance, we are going to court, or why we have asked this person to pay back the amount of money that he or she misappropriated, or he or she cannot account for. So all of those. So it is that those kinds of ways we try really for win public confidence and trust. Because as I say initially, it is the pivot or a very critical part of the work that you do. In spite of all of these, as I say, you will still get people who get their own feelings. And as I say as well initially, because they would look at the fight against corruption with a political lens. Some will look at with a regional lens. Some will look at with a
Yeah.
tribal lens. And will say the fact that it is the SFPP in power, this ACC cannot go after its own. Some will say that because not to APC, that's why they are going after ACC. So these are the kinds of things we need for workaround to see that that is not the case. And so we constantly come out with public notices, with press releases, telling members of the public, and we grant interviews, and we also undertake radio, television programs. We do jingles, we do other forms of media engagement, but let the public just understand the way we work. Because if they do not understand fully how we work, that is where those perceptions come in, and that is where those kinds of things happen. And of course, we may not blame them so much. So what we do for continuously engage them through those channels, so that they understand that the work they do, it is faceless. You know, the white person face, it is colorless. It is not by region, it's not by tribe, and it's not by politics. Besides
that, so how are they assure the confidentiality of the people that really come and give that information?
We assure the confidentiality on several fronts. And as they say, one front is we communicate it to them through we community outreach meetings, through we jingles and other communication methods we would use. But again, it is really entrenched in the amendment now under the Act.
Right.
That anybody where they provide support to the work of the ACC, when an informant, when a whistleblower, the Act they protect them.
Right.
The 2008 Act we talk about will. Now the amendment you do, it don't make a shall.
Right.
And we make an, if you like, shall, this is mandatory, so that the ACC shall protect its sources of information.
Right.
So that is it. And further, if for any reason somebody even wants to go after those people, the commission, the fact that I don't say it's emphasized, the commission will stand with those people. But the initial part of it is normally we tell them, even when you want to get an information through the ACC, kind of at all costs to be there, which I mean to associate yourself with the report. If you want, for instance, you can remain anonymous. So just write on a blank paper. If you always ask somebody else to write, if you feel you writing, somebody would know saying that you're handwriting, and you send it.
Right.
If it's an email, you can create a pseudonym account and you send the information to the ACC.
Right.
Then also, if even you want to text, you can equally do a text through another person. So all of those, but if even it happens now through a number, we cannot get back to that number and try for CC na you or so. So we will always tell them, say, yes, these opportunities are there, but let you remain anonymous. But again, if your identity becomes known to the ACC, we will keep it confidential.
Right.
And every staff of the ACC, they swear on oath of confidentiality.
Right.
And so if you don't take the oath of confidentiality, then for any reason, somebody suspects we don't get an interaction with you by way of giving you an information, and that is being known by some other person with fact. Not to say the other person said he just suspecting that you can give information to ACC because he believes that you no more will be privy to that information. But you come with certain and with fact that it was the staff that disclosed that information to the person, then the staff is in a big trouble. You go even lost in work.
Right.
So those are the leads. Then also, it's now, for instance, your identity has been known, but not through ACC, but any other thing, it has been unveiled. We can make other provisions.
Okay.
In the sense, and even provide you an armed guard once you know that your security is safe because you don't provide information to we.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, secondly, if there's need for relocation of you, you can be relocated. All those facilities are created.
Right.
It all depends on the level of threat where you face.
Right.
Then if you go to court, for instance, now we talk about witness protection.
Mm-hmm.
What we talk about has to do with informant and whistleblower protection.
Yeah.
Now, witness protection would now go to court and then would ask the judge so that your trial, your evidence will begin in court could be done in camera.
Right.
You get all the voice distortion they can do and all of that. Then you
Right.
can as well be cross-examined in that same form. So those provisions are there, and then we work towards it. Once you don't come to attention that yes, somebody security or life is at stake, or we need for protect them, then we can do it.
Right. Say how anti-corruption they make sure say on a system not get infiltrated by corrupt people.
Infiltrated. But yeah, that is a very good question. What we do is, as a commission, we self get we own, if you like an internal structure for like the monitor with. So we have a professional standards officer. But even with that, we always get staff meetings with the commissioner. They talk to staff and encourage them for maintain the highest levels of integrity.
Right.
And also it is in our course of conduct. So we are always reminded that if they engage you for any act of misconduct and now it escalates to an act of corruption, then you will definitely face severest penalty.
Right.
Summarily be dismissed, and then you have the chance also to be prosecuted.
Okay.
So quite often the commissioner gives this information, even when there are sometimes allegations of, say, people they hold money or people they involve in acts that are not consistent with the values of these things. But of course, the fact that you don't have the evidence, but just they keep getting this suspicion or right around, commissioner keeps saying it. So in essence, what I'm saying is, as staff of the ACC, on a very regular basis, we are being reminded. And in the event, even staff for misconduct and other things, we don't get instances where staff have been sacked, not being involved in the act of corruption, but just because of their conduct.
Okay.
Because within that they present is that any act of the staff of the ACC where they lead to misconduct, they bring disrepute to the institution.
Absolutely.
So we have those things, and those things are subject, of course, as I said initially, to the office of the professional standards. We directly they work under the office of the commissioner. We go do the investigation and come up with the findings, and then the penalties are invoked.
Right. Yeah. So, what's in our anti-corruption position on that for stop people that wanna don't convict or wanna don't find guilty for participating in the future?
In public, no, but that is the law is there. Let me tell you, even before the amendment, the provision then at the Anti-Corruption Act 2008, Section 134 or Section 135, whatever. But if it starts with Section 134, we see for at one point when you are indicted, you are suspended from office, and the other part is as well when you are convicted, then you are dismissed. So it is in the law is there. But in fact now, when we don't do the amendment in 2019, which the amendment add, now for those who will enter into agreements for recovery.
Right.
Way before this time, there had not been any aspect of that in terms of barring them from public office. But now it has been captured.
Okay.
Even if you don't go to court, but the ACC goes into a repayment or recovery agreement with you,
yeah,
you will hold yourself out from public office for a period of not less than 3 years.
Right.
Yes. So that is what now has been captured. So it has been there in law for those where they convict for let them hold public office for the rest of their life.
Right.
Until for instance that conviction is overturned.
Okay.
But if that's not the case, you are barred from public office for life.
Right.
But in the case of the recovery in 2019, what is now the case is before this time, it was like nothing was attached of barring probably when somebody can pay back.
Right.
So people that see and say it was an opportunity when as people and say I pay back, you pay back and you go back to your workplace. No, that's not it now.
Right.
The situation now currently with the amendment is when you have entered into settlement agreement with the ACC, that is part of what you'll be signing up. you will put yourself out or away from public office for a period of not less than 3 years. It may even exceed.
Right. So how do you monitor that?
We monitor it, and we also make sure that when it is done, we make it public. For instance, in the situation of the recovery in the amendment. But before this time, once you are convicted, and the message is out there, my brother, I tell you, even the public will come and tell you, that man is working. What are you doing?
Okay.
So we monitor it ourselves. And
Right.
for any reason, as I'm saying, we have civil society, we have other groups who will bring it to our attention. Even for aspects of suspension, that is where sometimes we even get a challenge.
Right.
But for conviction, we honestly not have challenge in that regard.
Right.
What people have done, maybe as the way of going around it, is to appeal. And when the matter goes to court of appeal, it is overturned.
Right.
And then you see we can get back to public office. But we have not had difficulties in cases where the convictions have been upheld.
Right.
But where we had instances of people being charged to court, they still attempted to continue to be in public office.
Right.
They should be suspended, or when they should be interdicted, they should step aside. So these are areas. So those things have come to our attention. It happened in the case of, for instance, Aisha Johansson.
Yeah.
I remember that very well. We had a lot of praying and fray. It also happened in the case of George Herbert, Williams, who was a former mayor, because they said it was an elected office.
Right.
Issues came up, but he ended up going, and it has also happened in certain offices in the regions.
Yeah.
When people are indicted, people continue to go to work because they think that is the provinces people are not aware. But the information comes to us, and then we make sure we contact the right authority, and then they are asked to step aside. But in the aspect of conviction, honestly, we've not had much challenge. It is about those that we charge to court, and they still would want to continue to do their work.
Right.
Alone.
To me, it seems like a psychological problem, because it seems as if that's something we don't go on with we for a long time. So waiting are you on take on that as you close?
You see, the problem of corruption, yeah, you call it psychological problem. Sometimes that could be, but to me, it's a place. It could be near it, but to me, as I say, it's a problem of the mind.
Yeah.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
You see, people's mindset in this country nine are the problem, and the society is society gullible. The society can be played upon quite easily. Mm-hmm. So you find out that once somebody try to tell the society a particular message, they want to go with it. Mm-hmm. And they have already got a mindset. If, for instance, the mindset is that this man, then we go after him because of this, a lot of people will tend to buy into it.
Right.
You see, just as how PLO can talk.
People that we don't lost Mr. Sandy, but we want to tell and thank you for we come to the podcast today, and we appreciate him for we give you the information we don't give you. So now the next episode, I'm going to talk about things that we Mr. Sandy talk about. Now this conversation we may get, we go up we for shape we understanding of what we need to do for help we country salon.